Goody everyone! This is Dayhawk, bringing to you my take, my review of Kamen Rider Revice episode 47. This is a sad episode, guys, and the main highlights of this episode is Ikki's memories and George's descent into madness. And also, I want to give a little bit of what the episode was also about, which is a recap to Hana. I bet she wants to turn herself in now. And the weekend is officially no more. They're packing their stuff and they're moving away from the house. I'm not sure if it's official, the weekend and Phoenix are gonna merge together. We don't know that yet. But Phoenix, what's left of it? Is there anybody in the payroll? I need to ask because I don't see any Phoenix soldiers anymore unless they got replaced by those foot riders. And speaking of which, they got their asses whooped because George is on a hunt of destroying riders, speeding up riders. Well, that's later on. Other than that, the kids had a brief moment of having a normal life, and leading up to Ikki's memories, Ikki does not remember the times he and his father shared in stacking dominoes. He assumed it was their first time. And Vice, Mama-san were there, and they had like their shocked look on their faces. And when George attacked and Vice was like, I'm gonna transform, you don't. Because if you transform, the more memories gets erased. And maybe if I just transform, then the damage will be minimal. Unfortunately, when they came back, it wasn't the case. Ikki does not remember his parents anymore. Because when his parents came back from the store, and they said, hey, we're gonna go eat, we have, sushi or whatever it was. Ikki just stood up and asked and tells them actually, like, hey, can you do that a little bit later? The spa does not open until 3 p.m. And everybody in that room was like, what the hell that just happened? That's your mom and dad. What's going on? And that's when Ikki decided to tell Sakura and Daiji about his memory loss and the demon contract and everything else. And of course, his siblings his brother and sister took it well, but Sakura was very devastated because she would have thought that, hey, we finally have a normal life, but now we have this. And Kagero appeared. He was just telling the truth bluntly, and Sakura's like, Kagero, not now, you're not helping the situation, but this is what a demon contract is. But it depends on the demon, of course. But in this case, Ikki as a small child made a contract with Vice, and he didn't know the price of it until later on when he was more adult. And at the end of this episode, Ikki is gonna be forced to transform because George is beating Daiji and Sakura to the point where he may be, he might kill him. And he's gonna be forced to transform. And for Vice, he's like telling Ikki, do not do it. Because if you do it, then what remains of your memories will be gone. But does Ikki really have a choice now? He does not, because George is forcing his hand. regardless if he knows about his memory situation. I believe he doesn't, but either he does or he doesn't. He's gonna force Ikki to play, so to speak. And speaking of George, I never look in the beginning. I told you guys the moment George gave the new Bat V stamp and that new driver to Kagero, that what if there's a possibility of George being the final boss? And the blueprints, the clues were there because George was doing shady stuff and he knew about it, especially with the whole Hiromi situation in Vale and the demon driver and sucking his youth, turning his health into an old man and that sort of thing. And he also mentioned in the beginning as well that his goal is to create the perfect Kamen Rider. And when all that's said and done with Giff, he just said, "Thank you. Now it's time to kill you." And of course the kids be, why? Because you're nothing more than tools for my master plan to create the ultimate Kamen Rider, which is me. I created this driver, created for me to become the ultimate Kamen Rider, and that was it. I want to be the last rider standing. But at the end of it, that was his main goal. But I never thought, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. The reason I dropped it was because of that stupid filler episode of him, telling everybody, well, I was forced to do all these things because of Akashi. To me, it's just a cop-out. I was upset that the writers put that in, But of course, when Hiromi came back, George asked for his forgiveness, which he did, and I'm sure the kids maybe felt sorry for him and just say, hey, it's okay, people make mistakes and all that, so they forgave him as well. Now, the whole him being the final boss due to him just, I think, due to the fact that he's grieving, he's angry, he is sad, and all those negative emotions must have broke him to the point where he's doing these things for the sake of humanity. Because he said, when he was revealed to be the one that, beat up Hana and Takami and the rest of the writers, he said that his last mission is to destroy all the writer systems, all the writers, for the sake of humanity's future, including the Giff's descendants, meaning the Igarashi family. And I'm like, okay, so what then? After you finish your mission, will you destroy that driver that you made? And I don't think he would destroy it, but it's either there, because it's not going to happen, obviously. I feel that he's just using it as an excuse, because his main mission is to destroy his father's legacy. It was his father that he discovered Giff. He used his cells to save Genta's life, in turn created Vale and the whole madness that started earlier on in his youth. The reason why he gave in to his darkest desires, the reason why he left his family, even though later on he wanted to atone for his sins, make things right with his son, and And all that's well and good until that shocking revelation of him giving his demon to his own son. And that pretty much derailed the relationship, to lower depths. And when he tried to see him for the last time, it was already too late. So so all these negative feelings is just erupted and created this madman. You could see it in his face that he looks like he has not slept, and his eyes are like wide open, like crazy eyes. He has the crazy eyes. And he just wants to destroy his father's legacy. And the proof was when Hiromi visited Dr. Karazaki's grave, and he discovered the two drivers, Hana's and Takami's, on the grave, at the grave site. Sorry, bad grammar. So what does that tell you? When Hiromi confronted George, he was like, "What the hell are you doing? What's the purpose of this?" And obviously George never gave him a straight answer. He never gave him a straight answer until Hiromi discovered the answer for himself. And I have to say, Kamen Rider Juga, it's an Easter egg. It's based on a particular writer which I have not seen. If you replace the J with the K, what does that give you? Kuga. So this suit and the name comes from Kuga. The suit design is based on Ultimate Kuga. And the name itself is based on Kuga. It's just replace the K with the J, and that's it. Ultimate Kamen Rider. Ultimate Kuga. What does that tell you? The only difference is that Juga doesn't have the eyes, the black eyes. Usually the red eyes is him being good, but if it's in black, then he's bad and driven in madness. But again, I never thought I threw George being the final boss off the table because of how the story went, but I never thought it to be, George being the final rider due to his grief. Him being very angry at his dad to the point where he's going to destroy everything he has built. And also, George created the Ikki's driver and also Sakura's and Daiji's. He's going to destroy those too. And yeah, he's trying to destroy his father's legacy because he's very angry, he's very sad, and he's grieving. And George is going to force Ikki's hand to transform. And when he transforms for that final time, once he defeats George, his memories will be gone to the point where maybe he doesn't know his own name. We all know his memory is going to be returning soon, but just we don't know how yet. So this episode itself, it's very, very sad. And let's see how this is going to turn out in the last couple of episodes. And it's sad to see this season go, or any season that's really good. Regardless, this show has flaws, but I consider it to be on my top 5. And that transition from Revice to Geats is going to be a hard transition because you're so used to the Igarashi family and Hiromi and George, and you're used to them because you've been watching them for a whole year. But it's either here or there. Thank you so much for listening. If you've seen the episode, did you like it? Did you dislike it? Also, give a like if you like it. please subscribe, and also don't forget to visit my Etsy store where we sell Kamen Rider merch, even other works of art. The more we sell in Kamen Rider, the more I make new riders for sale. That's why we only have those first two, because nobody is buying them. But hopefully, you guys will buy them and we'll make more riders. Other than that, thank you so much, and I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!